Hello and welcome to another episode of the BSN podcast. Today is Tuesday, August 16th. Hope everybody's having a day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Tuesday, August 16th here today, coming off another busy night of baseball last night. The Yankees and the Mets on, both disappointed. Yankees lose 4-0, get shut out for the second straight games. They have now gone 18 innings without scoring a run. And the Mets get smoked. They lose 13-1 to the Braves. It was a rain delay, then they came back. Carrasco couldn't pitch for long because of the delay, and it was just one of those nights for the Mets where you kind of take it, you throw it out the window, and you get ready for the next one. Now, for the Mets, you can't let that spiral into losing 3 or 4, losing the next 2 or 3 games and making the NL East lead all of a sudden back to like 2.5. So the Mets do need to bounce back, make sure that they bounce back after a real tough performance last night. Yankees just lose. I mean, they didn't do anything. I'm going to really get into it and talk about Aaron Hicks and all that stuff in the first part of the topic, or in the first part of the show, rather. It's just there's nothing going on for the Yankees right now. No hitting. The defense is not very good. The bullpen struggling. I mean, last night it kind of struggled too. You had the 3 runs in the 9th inning that really kind of put the icing on the cake for the game. And, you knew once those 3 runs came up, the game was over because the Yankees can't hit, and that's the issue. Garrett Cole gives you a very solid outing of 6 innings, 1-run ball, striking out 6 over 6 innings. I mean, it was a very good performance from him. Yankees can't hit. So this is the second time you've wasted a very good start from Cole, and now the second straight game where you've gone shut out. So Yankees continue to not do anything offensively, and all around they're just not playing good baseball, and it's concerning. It's frustrating. It's getting to a point now where it's like, when do changes made? When does Cashman step up and do something with this team? And I'm talking about Aaron Hicks and a couple other players as well. So we'll get into it here today. The topics for today's podcast, we're going to get into Aaron Hicks' struggles. I'm going to talk about the game yesterday, but really hone in on Aaron Hicks, because I feel as if we all were crushing Gallo. Now we got to crush Hicks. Not got to crush Hicks, but now it's really showing how bad Aaron Hicks is, because Gallo kind of covered up some of his struggles. Now it's really showing how bad Aaron Hicks is and how inconsistent he is. And come postseason, he can't play. You can't throw Hicks out there come the postseason. So we're going to get to that to start things off. We're also going to get to some baseball in LA. Walker Buehler done for the season. So definitely a big blow for the rotation for the Dodgers. But I'm going to give some Dodgers fans a little bit of hope. Dustin May's coming back. Clayton Kershaw's coming back. I know Walker Buehler's your ace, one of the better pitchers in all baseball. But why it's not time to get overly concerned over this. Now, it is a big blow, but the Dodgers can still win with the rotation that they will have come postseason if everybody stays healthy. So we'll get to that. And we'll also finish things off with the New York sports update. Like I said, Yankees tonight, second game of a 3-game set against the Rays. Look to tie the series and look to go for the series win tomorrow. I mean, and that's another thing too. You have a 9-game homestand. Yankees going into yesterday were 41-15 at home. They've been winning at home. You have a 9-game homestand coming off a long road trip where you really struggled. You got swept by the Cardinals, lost 2 out of 3 against Seattle, lost 2 out of 3 against Boston. You had 2 wins on a, what was it? 2 wins on a 9-game road trip. So you went 2-7 on a 9-game road trip. Really poor baseball. You come back home, you have 9 games at home. I said if you can go 6-3, that'd be solid. Yankees lose the first one. So it's just bad. It really is. So we'll get into it. It's game 2 of a 3-game set today. Mets game 2 of a 4-game set in Atlanta. Look to bounce back after a tough night last night against the Braves. All right, so with all that being said, a lot to get into today as well. A lot of Jet stuff too. We'll talk more about it tomorrow once all the surgery gets done with. But Joe Klecko, we'll find out if he's in the Hall of Fame. Very well should be. He should be. The fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame is almost a crime. Was a excellent defender for the Jets. I mean, just one of the better ones of all time, and one of the better ones definitely in Jets history. Definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So we'll find out that today. And Zach Wilson too today in LA has his surgery. So we'll kind of get the final timeline for Wilson as when he's going to return and how long he's going to be out. So a lot going on today and a lot to get to today on the podcast. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get into it. So like I mentioned just a couple minutes ago and already a lot on this podcast, the Yankees lose last night 4-0. They have now lost their last two games by a score of combined 7-0, and they have had no runs over the past 18 innings, dating back to the Sunday Night Baseball game against the Red Sox, and it continues to get worse. The Yankees are now fall to 72-44 on the season. They are still 10 games up on the Blue Jays and the Rays. Now the Rays have actually overtaken them because the Blue Jays have not taken advantage of this. They are actually 3-7 in their last 10, and they're on a 2-game losing streak. So they have not taken advantage of the Yankees' losing streak and the Yankees' losing ways over the past month. But you know who has taken advantage is the Houston Astros. Yankees now have the fourth best record in baseball. They are 3.5 games back of the Astros now of the best record. Astros stand at 75-42. Yankees are 72-44. So if the season would end today, and there was an ALCS matchup against the Astros, Yankees would have to go to Houston for a Game 7. The series would obviously start in Houston. So this losing streak has really hurt the Yankees. And a lot of times people just look at the division and say, oh, we're still 10 games up. I get that. I understand that aspect of it. But the fact that you're now behind the Astros, and you're going to have to overtake the Astros, and the Astros you already know at home, you could barely beat them at home, let alone on the road, you can barely beat them. And, you know, we all know how this Yankee team is. When they get to the postseason, their bats go quiet, everything goes wrong. And here we stand yet again where this team is just like last year's team. Back-to-back shutouts, 18 innings of awful baseball, defensively not good, offensively even worse. And the Yankees again fall last night 4-0. Not taking advantage of runners in scoring position. You get runners on, can't drive them in. These are all things that the Yankees were doing earlier in the season, and now we aren't doing anymore. And the worst part is, as you get closer and closer to October, this is when these things start to happen. So all these Yankee fans out there saying, oh, it's okay, it's just a part of the season. Well, you're going to go into October and losing like this? Are you going to go into October not scoring runs? Are you going to go into October playing some of your worst baseball of the season so you get absolutely destroyed in October? I mean, this Yankee team continues to disappoint night in and night out. And we're not seeing any progress. We're seeing they're only getting worse from what they were in the beginning part of the season. I mean, you look at some of the better teams in baseball, they are consistent. This Yankee team is not. They're so up and down, up and down, up and down. And I understand Stanton's still on the IL. I get DJ was out last night. But when you still look at this lineup, Donaldson, Hicks, I mean, just eyesores in this lineup that should not be in the lineup. Donaldson's been very good defensively. He's struggled. You go last night even to Rizzo. Rizzo's been very good, but he strikes out 3 times. He did have a double, to be fair, but he did strike out 3 times, and 2 of them were tough swinging strikes on pitches way out of the zone. The team as a whole last night strikes out, 12 times last night? Beek struck out 2, Yarborough struck out 6, Thompson struck out 2, and then Raley and Adam came in and struck out 2 themselves. So the Yankees go down with striking out all over the place. The top of the order can't do anything at all. You have Gleyber Torres leading off, which is just not smart. I mean, he did have 2 hits, to be fair. But, I shouldn't crush Torres too much. But it's just bad. It really is. And you continue to watch this team. They continue to get worse. Every year we feel like we go down this road where they play good, and then they just hit a wall, and they just, boom. And I do believe this, and I know I've said this a lot on this podcast, and I probably sound like I'm repeating myself, but it's the truth. I mean, this Yankee team continues to repeat with bad performances, so I can repeat myself, right? I mean, this team, I truly believe, that start was not this Yankee team. That was just an overachievement in the early part of the season. This Yankee team is not that good. They are last year's team, maybe a little bit better. Last year's team was awful. They were so reliant on the home run ball. They weren't getting hits or runners in scoring position. Nothing was working. This year's team is going down that path yet again. And they're going down the path going into October. And now you're behind the Astros in the standings. And I don't want to hear, oh, it's just another regular season game. Enough of that. Enough of that. And I saw somebody today say, like, Tierney does Tiki and Tierney on WFAN, does a very good job. He was saying something about how the Yankees used to have to earn your roster spots. If you weren't playing well, you're going to get benched. If you weren't playing well, you're not going to be on the roster. And you have a bunch of these guys that are not playing well, not producing, and yet they stay on the roster, they stay on the team, they let them rot in the major leagues, and they continue to struggle. Aaron Hicks being one of those guys. And where do I even begin when talking about Aaron Hicks? Last night goes 0 for 3 with a strikeout, and he grounded into a 1-2-3 double play in the fourth inning when the Yankees had bases loaded, 1 out. Bases loaded, 1 out in the fourth inning. Yankees are down at that point, 1-0. You look to get some runs that inning. You get a nice, you get an error on the pitcher, so you get a gift there. Then, you have Flefu who hits a single. I get you have Flefu who hits a single. Trevino reaches on a fielder's choice. Hicks comes up with the bases loaded. And oh no, here we go. Grounds out with a 1-2 double play. So you have, it's Hicks, it's a 1-2-3 double play. So it's the pitcher to the catcher who gets Benintendi out because he was going home. Obviously, bases loaded, everybody goes on contact. Or it was only 1 out, so you'd have bases loaded. Any ball in the infield, everybody's going. Hicks grounds into a double play. Boom. Benintendi's out. Throw to first. Hicks is out as well. And the inning prior, Cole lets up a triple, but because of Hicks took a terrible route. So Hicks in the top of the fourth takes an awful route to the baseball. If you didn't see this, then you got to go look at it. I mean, it's comical. It's not. You can't even sit here and be angry about it. You got to laugh at it. I mean, it's comical. So the ball's coming at him. He runs backwards, and it looks like he loses the ball. Ball bounces next to him, and he doesn't catch it. It was an awful route. I don't know what he was doing. And then that's a triple. So then a single by Paredes drives in Peralta. They score. Cole ends up getting out of the inning, striking out the next two, getting Siri to pop out to the first baseman, Anthony Rizzo. So they get out of the inning. So 1-0 thanks to Hicks. And then you go to the bottom of the fourth, and Hicks grounds out into a 1-2-3 double play to end the fourth inning. So the fact that Aaron Hicks is still on this team, the fact that they gave Aaron Hicks an extension and he's still under contract for the next 3 years is absolutely terrible. What has he done for this organization in the, 7 years he's been here, or however long he's been here? He's done nothing. He has done nothing. He hasn't been healthy. When he's out there, he doesn't produce. Yet again, this year, he's such a streaky hitter. You don't know what you're getting. There's times where he starts to hit well, and then there's stretches where he's in right now where he can't hit. And you can't trust that guy going into the postseason. Another Cashman mistake. And yet again, it's like the Yankees just don't want to cut bait with him. They don't want to say, look, you're not good enough. Get out of here. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. Like, there's a point where you gotta get rid of these guys. You have to step up, take a stand. You can't keep putting these guys in the lineup night in and night out. Call somebody up from down below. Get rid of Hicks. The Mets did it with Cano. I'll always go back to that. I mean, you used to have to earn your playing time with the Yankees. That's what made them so good. Now, you could be batting 160 like Joey Gallo, and you're still playing every day. You could be as bad as Aaron Hicks, offensively and defensively. Don't sit here and say, oh, he's good defensively after watching what he did last night, looking like an absolute he looked like a T-ball player trying to catch a fly ball. He looks at it, turns around, back steps, turns around, sprints, turns, ball's next to him. What is he doing? I mean, that was awful. That was terrible. Terrible. And they still throw him in the lineup night in and night out. You know how much trust they have in him because they throw him in the bottom of the order. And Joey Gallo, while he was here, striking out the way he struck out, being awful, that covered up Aaron Hicks' struggles. Because everybody wanted Gallo out of here. It covered up Hicks' struggles. And I understand you could say, oh, well, the Yankees tried to trade him, all that stuff. Great. If you want to say that, great. They didn't trade him. He's still on the team. He can't be on this team much longer. You got to get rid of the guy. You can't possibly, and I understand they brought in Harrison Bader. Possibly maybe he gets more playing time. He's hurt right now. When is he going to come back? September? I mean, who knows? I mean, he's hurt. He's still in a boot. When is he going to come back? There's really no timeline for him right now. So, it's right now your outfield Stanton's still on the IL. So you can't put Judge in center. They don't like to put Judge in center because it's a lot of running for him. Judge is phenomenal in center field. Right? So it's mind-boggling. It hurts your brain watching not only this team right now, but Aaron Hicks play. And it's almost, and I went to this point yesterday where it's almost like the Yankees try to outsmart everybody. Like they went out and signed, they try to outsmart everybody, like bringing in different arms, like bringing in Albert Abreu, saying, "Oh, we're gonna fix this guy." Like the Yankees and this organization, they're so like stubborn. They try to outsmart everybody and say, "Oh, we know more than you," and it doesn't work out, right? Like Albert Abreu, they're trying to show the Royals and the Rangers that he's a really good pitcher and he's good, but that's not true. He's got a 5.86 ERA in his last 7 appearances. He was warming up last night. I was like, "Oh gosh, here we go, game's over." They ended up putting in Lou Trevino, who didn't do very well, but Peralta did walk 2 guys in the 9th inning, and it doesn't matter hindsight because the Yankees went down they went down pretty easily in the 9th. Now you did have Donaldson who worked the walk, then he got tagged out, and then you had the fielder's choice by Benintendi. Trevino then flies out, so there was really no threat. Let's just say Trevino gets on, Falefa comes up with a runner on first and second. Then and he hits a single, then you're talking maybe a little bit. But then Hicks has got to come up. So, there was really no chance last night. But you even go to Abreu, and here we go again, another example where the Yankees are trying to outsmart everybody. They're trying to say, "Oh, look, Hicks, we're going to fix him. He's going to be great." Like they talk about all the work he's putting on off the field. It's just, I don't get to it gets to a point where you got to cut bait with the guy. You can't keep throwing him out there. This season, 218 batting average, 339 on base percentage, 305 slugging. His OPS is all the way down to 644. I mean, he has one of the worst batting averages on all the team now that Rizzo is gone. Or, not Rizzo, I apologize. Now that Gallo is gone. When do you get to the point, Brian Cashman, when do you get to the point where you realize this contract isn't working, number one, and the power's not there, number 2, and just he's not good, number 3. I mean, he's 32 years old, too. And I understand, he's switch hitter and all that stuff. He's 32 years old. He's not playing good baseball. What is he exactly done for the New York Yankees, this being his 7th year? What has he exactly done for this Yankee team? What has he done? Let me read you his batting average throughout these couple years. 217, 266, 248, 235, 225, 194, 218. Games played, 123, 88, 137, 59, 54, 32, 102. He's had 3 seasons where he's played 100-plus games. The other seasons, 88, 59. To be fair, 2020 only 54, but that's only 6 games he was out because of the stupid 60-game season. 2021, 32 games. He's not healthy. He's not out there often. Even when he's out there, he's not reliable at the plate. His defense is all of a sudden an eyesore and an issue to watch. And look at his postseason numbers too. They're not very good either. 196, 222, 154. And to be fair, in 2020, he did bat 308 in the postseason. So he was better in 2020 in the postseason. But other than that, 196, 222, 154. His career postseason batting, he bats 223 in the postseason. That's not good. So you can't bring up he's good in the postseason because he's not. You can't bring up the fact that he's good defensively after watching what he did last night. And he's obviously not good at the plate. So Brian Cashman, the Yankees, when is it time to cut bait with this guy? You got him under contract for the next 3 years. And that's just something with the Yankees too. It's not like you have to feel like you have to keep the guy for his entire contract. Cut bait with him. Get rid of him. Bring up a Florial. Bring up another guy from down below. Maybe they put a little bit of energy into the team. I always say this. I like the idea sometimes of prospects and bringing them up. I'm not always a fan of it because I think sometimes you rush them. But this does get to a point where it's like, all right, you can't keep throwing this guy out there night in and night out. And what if Bader's not ready for the postseason? Are you going to throw Stan out there every game? You're going to have to put Hicks out there. I mean, it is such a bad situation with the Yankees in their center field spot now. And they continue to just Hicks, throw him out there. That's great. Throw him out there. He's grounded into 4 double plays, by the way, this season with the bases loaded. That's the most in baseball. And his numbers with runners in scoring position are just atrocious. I mean, they're terrible. I mean, with runners in scoring position, they're just, it's just so bad. They're not good at all. It's just bad. So here are his numbers with runners in scoring position this year. So he's at 81 at-bats, 36 runs, 14 hits, 2 doubles, no triples, 3 home runs. This is his career stuff here. 27 RBIs, 12 walks, one hit by pitch, 25 strikeouts. So his batting average in his career with runners on postseason, 173 batting average, 284 on base percentage, 309 slugging, and OPS of 593. Those are his numbers with runners in scoring position. That's his numbers. That's this year. So those are his numbers this year with runners in scoring position. He's batting 173 with runners in scoring position. Batting 191 with runners on. He's batting 182 with bases loaded. And scoring position 2 outs, batting 185. So he's not reliable when there's bases loaded. Not reliable when there's even a runner on. Not reliable when there's runners in scoring position. Not reliable in big moments. Defensively, offensively, just a regular game. Not reliable. He's not good. He's injury prone. He's not good. Get rid of him. I mean, it just I don't know how many more times we have to sit there night in, night out and watch Aaron Hicks do what he always does. Strike out, ground out, pop out, fly out, and then, slam his helmet, walk out to the outfield so somebody else can get his glove for him, and, hear the boos. It's getting terrible. So this Yankee team continues to lose, and like I said yesterday, Cole gave you 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. His ERA now goes down to 3.30. Yankees left 7 on. You had the opportunity in the 4th inning. You had another opportunity in the 2nd inning where Hicks struck out. 1st and 2nd, he struck out. Then you go to the 4th, or 2nd inning, and then you go to the 4th. Bases loaded, grounds into a double play. They just couldn't get anything going. They couldn't really get anything going. They struck out 12 times yesterday. When you look at the top of the order, Torres, Judge, Rizzo, Donaldson. I'm not crushing Judge. Not going to do that. But between the 4 of them, there was, 7 strikeouts? 7 of the 12 strikeouts happened in the top of the order. That's not good. Rizzo had 3 of them. Donaldson had 2 of them. Judge only had 1. Torres only had 1. That's 7 strikeouts for the first 4 batters out of the 12 that struck out last night. That's not good because that's showing, when you're top of the order, couldn't do any damage, your bottom of the order's not because you're going to have to rely on, Hicks, to get a hit. And to be fair, Benintendi's been good, but, he hasn't been great. Flefa's good, but, he's solid. Trevino's solid as well. And Duhar is, all right. You just look at this lineup, and it's just not good right now. So, Yankees lose 4 runs, 7 hits, 1 error by Tampa. No runs, 7 hits, no errors. Tampa had a run in the 4th, put up 3 more in the 9th. Yankees get shut out again. And, again, we sometimes complain about Garrett Cole struggling on a performance or an outing. And here you have it. He has 2 back-to-back really good outings. One against Seattle, Yankees can't score. Another one against Tampa, can't score. So you're wasting good outings from your starting pitching. That's bad. Because whenever you get a good outing from your starting pitcher, you got to take advantage of it. So that's it. Last night, 3 hours, 21 minutes, 42,192 showed up for that game. Although I think by the final inning, there was probably only about half of them left. A lot of them swarmed towards the exits when the Rays put up that one other run because it's just you don't feel any trust in this team. You can't. I mean, a 1-run game. I mean, genuinely watching last night, and that's the bad thing. Last year, watching the Yankees, like a 1-run game felt like you were down 5-0. It really did. Watching that game last night, it literally felt like that 1-run game. It felt like the Yankees were down by 10. I mean, it felt like the Yankees needed like a grand slam and like a miracle to come back. Meanwhile, they were just a solo home run away from tying it. That's how last night felt. It really did. Last night felt like the Yankees were down by like 7 runs when it was 1-0. It just felt like it was such a crazy mountain to climb that they can't score that 1 run because those 1-run leads are really tough to overcome. And that's the point we got into. And last year, that's the way it felt. Where last year it felt like when it was even if it was like a 3-1 game, and the Yankees, even when there was runners on, you just don't trust them. Like last night, base loaded in the 4th, you knew Hicks was going to do something bad. He was either going to strike out, and you go back to the top of the order for Torres, which is okay, but it's not like LeMahieu's coming up in that situation. And then, or he's going to ground into a double play, or he's going to pop out, or he's going to, strike out, like I said. I mean, you knew that was going to happen. There's just no trust in this team right now. There isn't. There's no trust. So, I just don't know how. And you hear Boone, it's all right, we're good. We're going through some things right now. Clearly. I mean, it's poor baseball. So, and I'm to the point now, too, where it's just like, I've said all these things. It's just kind of at this point, I'm just rattling things off as they pop up in my mind because it's just the same stuff every night. And you can look at the lineup any way you can and say, oh, well, sometimes you have to overcome this stuff. Yeah, Deej was out of the lineup last night. Yes, Stan's on the IL. But you can't always use injuries as your excuses. You got to still win games. You can't be this bad. If you're relying on 3 guys that much, that just shows you how poor this team is. And that shows you how poorly constructed it is. That goes back on the general manager. If because 2 guys are out of your lineup, you can't hit, that's concerning. So that's what I got for the Yankees and their continued atrocious baseball. Hicks out there looking like the bad news Bears running after that fly ball. Looks like the bad news Bears in the batter's box, striking out with 2 runners on, grounding into a double play with the bases loaded. And the Yankees lose again, shutout again. 18 innings now without a run. We'll see when they score their next run. We're going to have to celebrate like it's the World Series when they score their next run. All right, so now let's get into some other baseball here. We're going to go across the, country here. Go a little bit from New York over to L.A. And get to some Dodgers news. Walker Buehler done for the season as he needs to get shoulder surgery, and he is out for the year. So the Dodgers ace, who obviously has been out for a little while with a shoulder injury, is now officially done for the year. By the way, the Dodgers are the first team to 80 wins, so I don't want to make it sound like this is the end of the world and they're losing and it's a bad spot. But they did lose one of their best pitchers, one of the better pitchers really in all of baseball, is now out for the year as he is having season-ending elbow surgery. He's been on the 60-day IL with an elbow issue. I guess there was a little bit of hope that maybe he'd be able to come back. Maybe he'd be able to come back for the postseason late in the year. But he is officially done for the year with elbow surgery. Now, I guess, that's way down the road, whether or not he'll be back for spring training and opening day of next year. That's really down the road. But the main focus now in the National League is the pitching rotation now, and specifically for the Dodgers. And, you get the news about Tatis. Now you get the news here with the Dodgers. So a couple big blows for both the Padres and the Dodgers, who going into the postseason we all thought were going to be, or are going to be, true threats. Now you start to question that a little bit. Now, I still believe the Dodgers are the team to beat. I like the Mets a lot. I apologize. I don't like the Mets. I'm not a Met fan, but in terms of the way their team is built, I think they're a very good built team. They have a very good coaching staff. They got a very good manager. I also like the Braves a lot. I think they're a team that could definitely make a run. Now, they do struggle against the Mets, despite beating them last night 13-1. But I do like their team a lot, the way it's constructed, and their pitching staff, and Kenley Jansen in the bullpen's been a nice boost for them. They got some pieces over there. Padres, I would have liked a lot more with Tatis. I still think they're a very good team. They're just not the same. If they had Fernando Tatis Jr. in their lineup, they would be much better. You go to the Dodgers, I like them a lot. I've said this for the longest time now. I think in the past couple years, Dodgers are one of the best teams in baseball. They have been for a very long time. First team to reach 80 wins last night. Just got their 12-game winning streak snapped, I believe, on Sunday. So they're a very good team, and there's really no debate about it. They're a very good team. So I look at it now as Dodgers have a little bit of questions on their rotation, and you look at the Padres, without Tatis. Mets now you would think are in the driving seat for the National League. But I still believe it's not quite time to panic if you're the New York Mets or Dodgers. I still don't think it's time to panic if you're the Dodgers. And look, I have Walker Buehler on my fantasy team. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. The way he mixes up fastball to off-speed, curve, mixes it all in. Very good pitcher. And has been with the Dodgers for a little while now. He's just an all-around good pitcher. He does a lot of good things. He mixes his pitches well. He's really the ace of the rotation, especially now that Kershaw's up in age. He's the ace of the rotation this year. Now, he did have a ERA north of 4 this year, but that was part of the reason, I think, just because of the fact that he he was dealing with some elbow issues, dealing with a little bit of the injury. But you look at his numbers over the past couple seasons, 2.62, 3.26, 3.44, 2.47. He's got a career ERA of 3.02, whip of 1.04. He's coming off of back-to-back years where he had a whip under 1, which I really believe is a very big stat when talking about pitchers. And he's a guy that even in the postseason, has really came to pitch. You know, a guy in the postseason has an ERA of, he had 3.80, 0.71, 1.80. Last year did have an ERA 4.91. But you look at his whips in the postseason, the first 2 years, under 1. A guy that doesn't allow many runners on, a guy that limits the long ball, a guy that mixes his pitches well, 28 years old, is still relatively young. But this was his 6th season in the league. Got a lot of weapons that he has to his disposal as a pitcher. All around, like I said, one of the better pitchers in baseball. And he's been the ace for the Dodgers. You look at their staff with him, it looks like Buehler, Kershaw, Julio Urias, Gonsolin. You're looking at 4 pitchers that are very good. Now, you're going to have to rely on pitchers that aren't named Walker Buehler, right? Tyler Anderson, Dustin May, who's coming back soon. That is my point, though. I don't believe, and I truly believe this, Walker Buehler is a very good pitcher. Like I said, I had him on my fantasy team, very good pitcher. But I don't believe that this is necessarily the end of the season, or for Dodgers fans think, it's like you got to panic now. Walker Buehler's done. There's no chance of winning at all. The Dodgers still have a lot of depth. I've always said that about the Dodgers. They have a lot of depth at pitching. Like, you look at the Mets, they have 2 very good pitchers. They also have Chris Bassitt and Taijuan Walker. Cookie Carrasco is a little bit of a question. He's been better recently, but he's still a little bit inconsistent. You look at the Dodgers, there's not many questions in the rotation. It's Gonsolin, Tyler Anderson, who's been very good, Julio Urias, who's been very good, and then you have Kershaw, who should be coming back. We all know what he's capable of. Now, his postseason numbers are He was better last year, but his postseason numbers are definitely They're not great. But if you get him to get into what he's like in the regular season, he's had a very good year this year. He's going to have to come off of his back issues, which he's had for a little bit now. You can get him, veteran, good pitcher, in the rotation. So I believe that the Dodgers have a very deep rotation. It's not like the Dodgers, and I say this, Dodgers aren't a team that rely on Walker Buehler so much. Like, if Garrett Cole or Nasty Cortez, knock on wood, hopefully this never happens, would to go down, Yankees are in a real bad spot. Because you're losing your 2 best pitchers, right? Then you're going to have to rely on another guy. It's not like with Buehler going down on the Dodgers, that's their only ace. That's their only guy. They're very deep. They still have a lot of good pitchers. They still have a lot of guys in the rotation that can strike out big-time batters and get big-time outs, specifically in the postseason. So I'm going to read you the Dodgers rotation now, and when it gets healthy with Kershaw coming back, what it could look like. So you got Tony Gonsolin, Tyler Anderson, Julio Urias, Ryan Pepoy, Andrew Heaney. That's their 5-man rotation now. Now, let me mind you, Buehler obviously done for the year. Kershaw's out right now. Dustin May as well, but he's going to come back very soon. Tony Gonsolin's got a 2.24 ERA in the NL Cy Young conversation. That's 4th in baseball. Tyler Anderson's got a 2.81 ERA. That's 14th in baseball. And Julio Urias has a 2.40 ERA. That is 7th in baseball. So 3 of the pitchers in rotation currently hold, all of them, top 15 ERAs in baseball, with Tyler Anderson being the 14th best. Julio Urias and Tony Gonsolin both being in the top 10 in all of baseball. So you're looking at 3 guys that are in the top 15 in ERA. That's really good. Kershaw would be up there too. He just doesn't have the starts to qualify. So you look at now the rotation with Dustin May and with Kershaw back. This is what you look like you'd roll with. Now, you might only roll with a 3-4 man, maybe push May to the bullpen. Depending on what you do with Tyler Anderson, could do that too. We'll see. He doesn't have much postseason experience. You'll see what you have there. Clayton Kershaw, 2.64 ERA. Tony Gonsolin, 2.24. Like I said, that's 4th. Julio Urias, 2.40. That's 7th. Tyler Anderson, 2.81. That's 14th. And then Dustin May, who hasn't pitched this year, but he's coming back. Hard-throwing, young player who has a lot of potential. A lot of potential. He's a very hard-throwing right-hander. He has a ton of potential. Very good. His accuracy, stuff like that. He's got a ton of potential. Now it's all about, instead of throwing, he's got to pitch. He's a young player, young pitcher, got a very bright future. So when you look at that, that's your rotation. I look at it as, you still got Clayton Kershaw, you still got Tony Gonsolin, still got Julio Urias, still got Tyler Anderson, who's in the middle of a career year. So yes, Walker Buehler is a really tough blow, especially because he's had good postseason success. He's been the ace. He's coming off of a couple really good seasons. He's kind of hitting his prime. Yes, it's a tough blow. But to the Dodgers fans out there, because you see some of them, rightfully so, when your ace goes down, you're going to panic. Rightfully so. When you see a guy go down like that, The Dodgers, and this is more of a compliment, they have a lot of really good depth. They got a very good rotation. It's not like they so much have like a Kershaw, or no, not Kershaw. It's not like they have a DeGrom and a Scherzer, but they got really good pitchers. They got 3 guys that are in the top 15 in baseball in ERA. They got 1 guy that's in the middle of a career year. Julio Urias and Tony Gonsolin, I believe, are really 2 underrated, really good pitchers. And you have Clayton Kershaw, who we all know what he's done in his career, and he's having a really good year this year. So I look at this rotation as, yes, Buehler's out, but it's still a very good rotation and a deep rotation come postseason. And if Dustin May, if you move him to the bullpen, and maybe a guy is a tough start or is struggling, you can always take Dustin May out and put him into that starting rotation. You'd probably run with a 3-4-man rotation, which would look like Kershaw, Gonsolin, Urias, Anderson. So I don't think this is not necessarily like the end of the world for the Dodgers. Sure, fans might look at it that way, but I wouldn't sit here and say that when you look at 3 guys in your rotation that have the top 15 ERA in all baseball, Kershaw would be up there as well. He's just going to need to up those starts. To qualify for that, he actually has a better ERA than Tyler Anderson. So Kershaw will probably be like number 12 or 11 in all of baseball. So you're looking at really 4 guys that have top 15 ERAs in all of baseball. So Dodgers have a very good rotation, even without Buehler. Now, with Buehler, it's lethal. Without it, it's still very good. Now, you raised the question, is it good enough to beat the Mets? Well, I mean, I think the Mets have the best rotation in all of baseball, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's impossible. I mean, to be honest with you, like if DeGrom and Scherzer pitch game 1 and 2, okay, Bassett's very good this season, not taking anything away from him. I would say Julio Urias, or I don't know. I don't know if they'll put Urias. They'll probably put Urias in the number 3. Who knows? I would say Urias is better than Bassett. And Tyler Anderson versus Taijuan Walker, well, that's close. Very close. Taijuan Walker's good, but Tyler Anderson is too. So, although they might get you in games 1 and 2, you'd be able to get you with your lower end of your rotation. And DeGrom and Scherzer are great. I'm not taking that away from them. And you know how I feel about the Mets. But you have Clayton Kershaw, too. Like, you have Clayton Kershaw and Tony Gonsolin, 2 guys that have phenomenal seasons. And Clayton Kershaw is going to go down as one of the best. He's a Hall of Famer, right? So those are all things you got to put in, put it into consideration. So the Dodgers, it's not quite time to panic. It's not time, especially the fact that Clayton Kershaw's back's getting healthy. You're going to get Dustin May. Whatever his role is in the postseason, he's another arm, which is what you want. And another quick stat here, Julio Urias is also 8th in the MLB in WHIP, something that Walker Buehler is very good with. And he's 4th in the MLB in win-loss record at 13-6. I don't really like win-loss record very much. I don't think it's really useful. I think it's kind of stupid. Last night, Garrett Cole got the loss despite throwing 6 innings and 1-run ball. But it is what it is. So I look at the rotation as it's still a very good rotation. A rotation still very capable of winning a championship and winning a World Series. I mean, this rotation's more than capable of taking down the Padres lineup. It is. I mean, I still think the Padres are a very good team. I'm not denying that. But without Walker Buehler, they still have a very good rotation. And you're getting healthier as well. Despite losing a big-time player, you're going to gain some guys back too, in Kershaw and Dustin May. And you look at the lineup too with the Dodgers. Right? The Dodgers are just a good team. You look at their lineup, there's, when you look at their lineup of Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman, the lineup's good. Gavin Lux, who's had a really good season. Justin Turner, Will Smith. They got a very good team. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but even Joey Gallo, not saying that he's the best hitter on the team, but he's batting .263 since joining the Dodgers. Batting .263 since joining the Dodgers, and oh yeah, he's already hit 2 homers. And that's in 8 games played, 19 at bats. So Joey Gallo's hitting for average all of a sudden now with the Dodgers. But the truth is, Freddie Freeman leads the team in batting average at .321. Betts leads the team in home runs with 26. RBIs, Trey Turner with 83. Freddie Freeman leads the team on base percentage at .398. And he also leads the team in hits with 142. So Freeman's been phenomenal. He's been great. You look at his line, .321 batting average, .398 on base percentage, .524 slugging, and OPS at .922. He's just a very good player. He got a 4.7 WAR. They're a good team. You look at their infield too. You have Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner, Gavin Lux, and Justin Turner. It's one of the best infields in all of baseball, defensively and offensively. So, got a really good team. Got a really, really good team. Not time to completely panic and press the panic button just because Walker Buehler's down. And look, the Dodgers hold the best record of baseball, and for the majority of the season, Walker Buehler's been out. They are 80 and 34. They are 6 games better than the Mets for the best record in baseball. 6.5 better than the Astros. 9 better than the Yankees. So they've been able to put up good pitching, put up good numbers, and hitting as well. Has been able to all play in factor. They play into play into the whole equation this season, even without Walker Buehler for the most part of the year. So, Dodgers lose an arm, but it's not necessarily panic mode, or I should say, oh no, season's over for the Dodgers. So, that's what I got there for Walker Buehler and the Dodgers and their starting pitcher going down for the rest of the season, as he'll get season-ending shoulder surgery. All right, so now let's get to baseball and the rest of New York sports update with the Yankees and the Mets, Marlins, Padres, Reds, Phillies, Cubs, Nationals, Pirates, Red Sox, Blue Jays versus Orioles, Tigers, Guardians, Royals, Twins, Rockies, Cardinals, A's, Rangers, Astros, White Sox, Dodgers, Brewers, Mariners, A's, and Diamondbacks, Giants. All right, so now you got the Mets and Braves tonight. Game 2 of a 4-game set. Mets come into this game 75-41. Braves come into this game 71-46. Mets got Taijuan Walker on the mound. He's 10-3 with a 3.43 ERA. And the Braves have Charlie Morton on the mound. He's 5-5 with a 4.26 ERA. Over/under set at 8.5. Today, 7:20 Eastern on SNY. Yankees Rays tonight. Yankees come into tonight's game 72-44. Rays come into tonight's game 61-53. 7:05 Eastern. You can find this game on TBS and Prime Video. So both those are options. Jeffrey Springs is on the mound for the Rays. He's 4-3 with a 2.56 ERA. And the Yankees got Nasty Nestor on the mound. He's 9-3 with a 2.67 ERA. Over/under set at 7 for tonight's game. So Nasty Nestor takes the ball in game 2 of the 3-game set. And as for fantasy baseball, I'm currently winning in my main league 32-3, so things are going good there. I've got Taijuan Walker, Kyle Gibson, and Jeffrey Springs all on the mound today. And as for my other league, got to get to it. My other league, I'm currently winning I'm tied actually, 13-13. Last I checked, I was winning. He tied up. 13-13, and I got Taijuan Walker on the mound in my main league, or my other league. So, like I said, my main league winning 32-3. So things are going pretty good. Alrighty, so that will do it for the podcast today. Like I said, game 2 of the 3-game set between the Yankees and the Rays. Game 2 of a 4-game set for the Mets Braves. Big game for the Mets. You know, if you win tonight, you're gonna have DeGrom and Scherzer pitching games 3 and 4. That should put you up in a very good spot to, win these games. And, if you win tonight, most likely you're going to win the series because you have the pitching advantage the next 2 games. Take 3 of 4, boom. Game 1 is it completely in the rear view. Forget about it. You move on from it. 13-1 blowouts happen. As long as they don't happen consistently, I would take one 13-0 blowout over a stretch of games where you're not scoring any runs like the Yankees. So we'll see if the Mets turn into the Yankees and start to not score and get blown out. But I don't think that's going to happen. So it's a big game, though. I mean, that's what makes the Mets. And I said this with the Dodgers. And I'm not saying that the Mets rotation is not good. I'm just saying that Dodgers rotation is extremely deep. I think people underrate it at times. Or now that Buehler's down, try to nitpick it. Sure, Clayton Kershaw's numbers in the postseason are definitely questionable. You don't really know what you're going to get out of him. But if you get Clayton Kershaw that we see in the regular season throughout his career, you're getting a guy that's you're getting a guy that's doing, what you're getting in Clayton Kershaw. We all know, right? I don't have to explain that. Mets, that's what makes them so lethal, though. They do have two very good pitchers. But the Dodgers, when you really look at it, outside of the number 1 and 2 from the Mets, Dodgers definitely do have very good pitchers similar to the Mets. The Dodgers can still win a championship, even without Buehler. It's not like DeGrom's going down for the Mets, where that's just a major slam. Major just tough for the locker room, tough for the team, tough for the rotation, all that stuff. So we'll see how it all plays out. Yankees tonight, Mets as well. So we'll see if the Yankees can find a way to score and win. I don't know. 18 straight innings. So we'll see if they can find a way to score a run and win a game. So anyway, that will do it for the podcast here today. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.